Hi guys, welcome to my channel, and here we are all Christmassy. Here it is, a month until Christmas, and I was like, I gotta do a Christmas video, so here I am. So I wanted to talk about my top 10 favorite Christmas movies of all time. And to be honest, I mean, this probably changes from year to year because some years I'm like, oh, I've watched this one too much or something. But most of them don't change because most of them are classics. They are oldies but goodies, and I just want to watch them every single year. So I think that without any further ado, we'll get into the list. First one I wanted to talk about, okay, actually, disclaimer, I don't think that these are in any particular order. I would say that any of these could be my favorite. The first thing I'm going to talk about is a very old movie from the 40s, and it's called Holiday Inn. And it kind of goes through all the holidays. It starts at Christmas time and it ends at Christmas time, which is why I consider it a Christmas movie. And this is where the song White Christmas actually was originally written and heard for the first time. Irving Berlin wrote the music for Holiday Inn, and it is where this amazing song White Christmas originated. And I love the song White Christmas, and I think this movie is just adorable. I was in love with Bing Crosby since I was 4 years old. Seriously, he was my favorite singer as a child, and I just waited until Christmas time when I could hear his voice all the time. So I think that that's probably where a lot of my love for this movie comes from. I mean, it's kind of a cute little story. Fred Astaire is in it also, and if you don't know me, I think he's the greatest dancer that ever lived. So having the two in the same movie and kind of against each other is cute. The next movie that I adore for Christmas time is obviously going to be White Christmas. And I love a lot of the music in White Christmas, and I love Danny Kaye and Bing and how they kind of interact together. And probably my favorite song in the whole White Christmas movie, I mean, you know I like White Christmas though, well, besides that is the Sisters song. And I have three wonderful, amazing sisters, and I also have three amazing sister-in-laws. And I just think that song is like, so like, don't get between me and my sister, like, don't do it. I'll be honest, those 1950s musicals where the dance sequences are like a year long, I'm not really digging that. I fast forward some of them. I'm sorry, but I do love White Christmas. It's like one of those movies I've watched like my whole life, so it's not Christmas until you watch White Christmas, right? Next, which is probably in my top three for sure, is Christmas in Connecticut. Again, we're going real old school. We're going back to the 40s with Barbara Stanwyck, and it's just so endearing. Oh my goodness, I only started watching this movie probably about 7-8 years ago. I didn't grow up watching this movie, but I found it as an adult, and I was like, where has this been all my life? I love it. It's adorable. It's got the cutest storyline. I'm not a huge Barbara Stanwyck fan, and it's hilarious to me because Natalie Bennett, I'm going to link her top 10 Christmas movies below, her video, or I'll link it here or wherever it's going to be, because she actually had this one, and I was like, girl, I'm impressed you have this one in, because I think it's a very undervalued Christmas movie, and I can't say enough of it. It's so adorable. It's just so freaking adorable. The storyline, I mean, I'll actually be honest, the extenuating characters are just priceless. Like her uncle and his hunky dunky. Seriously, I just, yeah, I live for this movie. I live for it. Much more modern movie, and I remember going to it when it hit theaters. I don't know when it would have been. I can't remember what year it came out, but probably around 10-ish years ago, and it's called The Holiday. It stars Kate Winslet, Jack Black, Jude Law, and Cameron Diaz, and it's just a winner in my books. I mean, if you're looking for something that is under like PG to general, it's probably not your type of movie. But if you're okay with some PG-13 or whatever it's called nowadays, then this movie is just so adorable. Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm a Kate Winslet fan all the way, and I think she's amazing, and this movie is no exception. And the chemistry between all the actors and the storyline of swapping houses and swapping countries and experiences because life sucks, and I mean, the tears are real in this one, and I think when I watched it and I was single and I was a spinster, as they would say in the olden days, and I thought there was no hope that I would ever get married, this movie really hit me hard when I first watched it. But man, I enjoy it now, and I can still creep out my husband and do the crying scene, Kate Winslet's crying scene, and copy her crying so well that it creeps him out. So I'm famous for a creepy cry. Also, a modern movie and a Queen Latifah movie is called The Last Holiday, or just, I think it's just called Last Holiday. And I adore this movie. This is like a feel-good movie that I want to sit down and watch when, you know, I'm just having one of those days. I'll often be like, oh, I just want The Last Holiday. So it kind of goes on this storyline that some bad stuff happened and she goes on this last holiday. And it's just so heartwarming. And I just love that she makes, you know, she kind of is pushed out of her comfort zone, and because of that she gets to do things and meet people and have experiences and touch people's lives that she never could have done if she had just stayed living the same life, that she was kind of in this rut. And I think it spoke to my life too, that you have to, you know, step out of your comfort zone to really find life and to live your life and to have a beautiful life. So if you need to be encouraged in that way, or you want to just watch a really feel-good, beautiful movie, get you down to get some Last Holiday, because man, such a good movie. I'm so looking forward to it, watching it this year. It's a little bit less Christmassy and more New Year's-y on its focus, but I'm telling you, this Christmas spirit is in this movie and it is strong. Okay, back to the oldies but goodies, A Christmas Carol. And I am not talking about any of these newfangled Christmas carols. I am talking about the old school Alistair Sim, 1950, whatever it was, 51 or something, version from England, the hardcore black and white Christmas Carol. I have watched this movie for most of my life, and it's so beautifully done. Man, it's such a good movie. I just love it. I mean, it's creepy. It is creepy. When there are spirits coming, you are creeped. And to me, that's part of it. Like, I don't know, I've read a lot of Dickens, and I feel like the creepiness and it's weird and you don't feel comfortable is part of what he was going for. He wanted to really break a lot of people's thoughts about being grateful and spreading good cheer and not being greedy and all these things. I mean, he was always trying to do something to, you know, improve society with his writings. And I really think that it's a beautiful story, and I think all of us know this story, but if you don't, you need to be watching this movie or reading the story. They're both beautiful, and I think this is a really good rendition. And to be honest, I've never finished any of the other versions because this one's, to me, like, why even try? But I'm sure that the other versions have beautiful qualities about them too, because it's such a great story. And we all need to know that, you know, God bless us, everyone. Okay, next one is also old. It possibly is the oldest one on this list, and that's called Shop Around the Corner. It stars Jimmy Stewart and Margaret Sullivan, and I think it might have been one of the first James Stewart movies that he made money in, or whatever. It's such a sweet story. It's the original story that You've Got Mail was based on, with Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks. So to me, I watched You've Got Mail, and I think it's a great little movie, but it's just the Shop Around the Corner. It's got my heart. That is where my heart is. And it's such a sweet story, and it's so funny how we can put up perceptions and have prejudices against people, and we don't know their heart. And once you realize who the heart is, that's who the person really is. And I think it's a really beautiful story that way. And I love the extenuating characters in this too. I mean, you got to hand it to the 40s. I don't think there's any other decade that had such amazing, the sub characters or whatever they're called. They are just knock them dead amazing. And I just adore Peppy. And if you don't know who Peppy is, you need to find out who Peppy is, because he's hilarious. Its next movie is We're No Angels, and this one stars, the big stars that I can think of off the top of my head is Humphrey Bogart, who I was a huge fan of and why I watched this movie the beginning, in the first place, and Sir Peter Ustinov. And it's basically these, I can't remember, some island, I think in Europe, and this is where all the prisoners are sent to, and they try to escape this island, and they want to escape for Christmas, but in the end they escape some way, but they hide in this couple's home, and they have this daughter, and in the end it's 3 guys and they're bad guys, but in the end they save Christmas for this family. And it's just so heartwarming, and it's so, you know, it's one of those, you know, movies that humanity, you kind of look at them and there's people make bad choices, but they can be good people. I feel like my candle's going out, and it looks like it almost is. I'm trying to think of the bad guy's name, or like the mean uncle. There's like, well, Basil Rathbone. Basil Rathbone. I mean, anyone who's called Basil Rathbone, you gotta hand it to him, but he was really good. All right, the next 2 are probably typical. They're probably gonna be on everybody's list, like some of the other ones I have on mine, and that is Miracle on 34th Street. I like the original black and white, so I prefer to watch it in. I'm not really into colorized versions of black and white movies. I grew up watching black and white, so it doesn't bother me. I think Maureen O'Hara is just knock 'em dead. Natalie, whatever her name is, her daughter, and I'm just blanking on the guy who plays Santa Claus, but I think he does a really good job of being Santa. And it's just, I mean, again, it's one of those movies, you probably have all watched it. It's just heartwarming to see that, you know, the cynical woman who's been hurt, and she you know, finally aims to be vulnerable, and it turns out good. And then, you know, proving that Santa's real, I mean, we all kind of relate, but it's very cool that he is able to prove that Santa's real in, you know, court of law. I always appreciated that, especially because when I was in high school, I kind of thought about becoming a prosecuting attorney, and I always like it when someone can really give it in court and actually prove something using some mastery. The last movie that I'm going to mention, and one is I actually haven't watched for a few years because I think I overkilled it, and I'm looking forward to watching it this year, is It's a Wonderful Life. And I was a huge James Stewart fan. I've always been a huge James Stewart fan. To me, he's like the ultimate you know, awkward every man's guy. And I know this movie showing the fact that our lives are intertwined with other people in such a deep way, and we don't even realize it. It's just so profound to me, and I think that everyone needs to understand the concept of all Frank Capra's movies, but I think this one is just mind-boggling, because so many times I feel like in times of crisis or sadness, we often feel like nobody would care if I died, or nobody would care if I disappeared. And I love that this movie shows that you are important, and that without you, you don't know, with you not being there, what it affects in your life and how it can change other people's lives like night and day. And not just not just maybe your family, but it can change an entire town's life and how their world is affected by one person. And Frank Capra did a fabulous job explaining this in his movie. And yeah, the whole premise, I mean, as a story writer myself, I'm in awe of his writing and how well he was able to portray the interconnectedness of humans and how we're all important. Every human is important, and there's a purpose for your life, and you don't necessarily know what it is, but God does, and there's a reason you're on earth, and it's not a mistake that you're here. And I hope that either hearing this or watching this movie, that really speaks to your heart in a profound way, because that is, to me, part of the true meaning of Christmas, is that you were so important that God came to earth to save you. So I mean, it's just amazing. So Christmas is my favorite time of year, and I had to do this list of movies because, come on, in case you didn't know about one of these movies, now you do. So go get it. I was gonna say go rent it. I'm old. But go on YouTube and watch it there, or do whatever you need to do to watch these movies, because they are amazing and wonderful, and you need to watch them. So I hope you enjoy. If you want to see more Christmas videos, then just let me know by liking this one and subscribing, and maybe hit the bell too if you want. It's up to you. Anyways, bye guys.